In this video, I'm going to give you some tips for post-lab 3 extraction. Now, there are 2 separate pages to this post-lab, and you're only going to do one or the other. So you'll either be doing this page here, or you'll be doing this page here. Now, I'm going to just walk through this particular page, but I do want you to know that the questions are exactly the same on both pages. One of them is asking about acetylsalicylic acid, and the other is asking about acetaminophen. Whether you have acetaminophen or you have acetylsalicylic acid, what I'm going to describe here is the same for either one of those substances. So question number 1, you're going to report from the box how much acetaminophen was in the 2 packets. So make sure when you're reading the box that you're getting the amount for 2 packets. And then here is just some data that you will have recorded from the experiment. Question number 4 is asking you to calculate the mass of your pure acetaminophen. That is going to come from the data that you reported in problems 2 and 3. The mass of the watch glass, I'm just going to abbreviate WG, plus the mass of pure acetaminophen, I'm just going to abbreviate that PA, is equal to the mass of the watch glass and the pure acetaminophen. And that when you look at it like that, it's probably pretty obvious. The mass of the watch glass is the quantity that you recorded in problem number 2, and the mass of the watch glass with the pure acetaminophen is the quantity that you reported in problem 3. So this is your unknown, and this is what you need to solve for. You know this number, and you know this number. You figure out this number. It should be easy. Then you're going to report or calculate the percent acetaminophen that you recovered in the extraction. So to calculate this, we're going to take the grams of the pure acetaminophen, I'm just going to call it ACET, and you are going to divide that by the amount in grams, the amount of acetaminophen from the box. And then to make it a percent, you're going to multiply it by 100. I shouldn't say from the box. I'm going to say amount of acetaminophen in the packets based on the data from the box. So the amount that we started with in the packets, that's literally how much you started with, and you're trying to figure out how much of that you actually purified. The grams of pure acetaminophen, that's the number that you calculated in problem number 4. That's what you figured out right here. And then the grams of acetaminophen in the packets from the box, that's the number that you got from question number 1. So these two, do the division and then multiply all of that by 100 to make it a percent. Question number 6 is just asking you why your percent should be less than 100, or I guess technically it could be equal to or less than 100, but it can't be more than 100. Why is that? I'll let you think about that one. And then also, if you did happen to get a percent recovered acetaminophen that's greater than 100, what would that mean? What I'm looking for here is what's wrong, if assuming that your math is correct, assuming your calculation is correct, what would it mean if you ended up with more than 100%? And let's kind of use some hypothetical numbers here. This isn't the answer to the question, but this might help you think about the answer. Let's say that the box said that we had 1 gram of acetaminophen in the box. And I don't think that it's that much, but let's just say that's what it was. And let's say that the amount that you recovered, let's say that your pure acetaminophen was 1.5 grams. And so when you did the math on this, you would get 150% recovery. So what would that mean? If you only started with 1 gram of acetaminophen, how did you end up with 1.5 grams of acetaminophen? Where did that other 0.5 grams come from? Is it acetaminophen? Did you magically make 0.5 grams of acetaminophen, or what could that 0.5 grams be? Where did that other half of a gram come from? And then the last question, you are just going to be recording the melting point of the acetaminophen that you obtained in the lab.